to The Experience Today, where we explore the fascinating intersections of psychology, the human experience, and American politics.
Good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Experience Today. As you can see on set screen, we're out here doing things. We're going to talk a little bit about the election in New York City. We're going to get all that in order. I'm with my lovely host, native New Yorker, Miss Valerie Zen. What's going on, girl? How you doing?
Well, I think I've experienced happier times on election night. This is kind of really messed up, and if nothing else, it's certainly a day to realize we do not have a handle on the elections. I'm feeling really bad. I'm feeling upset, especially from my home state of New York, which, but let's see, my parents were born and raised in New York. I was born and raised in New York. My grandparents were born and raised in New York, except for two of them. And we're identified New Yorkers. And it's just so sad to see what becoming a liberal robot can do to you. And, recently I've heard some people say, I went out to California and everyone was so nice. I'm like, no, they're so nice because they're out of it. They don't even realize what's happening to their state, who's running their government out there. They burn their houses down in the Palisades, and they're like, oh, yeah, my parents lost their house. And, I don't know what this particular show we're watching today is going to produce. None of us really know, but what I've been thinking, even before this happened, even before this election night, is all these liberals winning, and when I say that, I mean Mondami and in Virginia, the guy that wanted to kill somebody's children.
Yep.
And and this the woman, the liberal woman running against Sears. They're all winning. Okay. I said to myself, okay, what New York needs, and maybe other states need, are these governors to come in and be really strong red governors. And it can happen, but before that can happen, what do we need?
We need
fair election.
Yeah. Well, this before we even get to fair elections, we need an educated electorate. Before we even get there, right? Because the educated electorate will take care of the fair elections issue, right? But as long as we have people that are like die hard, like this is my team, and you know what I mean, the team politics stuff, the two, you know what I mean, these people, especially the ones on the as we would call them, the other side, right, will continue winning just based on that division alone.
Oh, the division is, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, they've got us so divided, by color, by sex, by politics, by you name it, we're divided at this point. And even if we look at ourselves, we can honestly say, I don't like hanging out with Democrats. I don't want to hang out with people that change the sex of their children. I don't want to hang out with people that are vaccinated. We could just go on in this, I don't want to be with the other kind anymore. It's just outrageous. You know, I know that you have shared that getting rid of the filibuster is not, you know, not aligned with the Constitution, and it's not good, and we have to keep it. But I've been not only reading what Trump is saying on Truth Social, but what a lot of people are saying, and I've really tried to put my filter on and filter through this concept. And it's hard because they're going to take us for a long, I said that like a real New Yorker, a long, hard ride. If we're not able to re-educate, and you said that as a beginning issue, re-educate, which means the school system. If we're not able to get voter ID, look what's going on in New York right now. No voter ID, no way to prove who's a citizen or not. It's just this like crazy bullshit election. Foreigners, people from all over, paid people. It's just the definition of insane elections taking place.
Yeah.
So running back to that and this filibuster, I've grown to understand on a different level than I did that if we don't somehow break this filibuster and be able to get some of these things done like yesterday, like right away, the midterms are shot, and we will never be able to codify anything that's positive, and we're going to have chaos on a level that we've never seen, and it's already starting. I was listening to Tim Pool for 5 minutes, and I think he's outside Virginia somewhere, and he said people are getting the shit beat out of them just for wearing a red hat or having anything to do with being a Republican or a Trump supporter. So if anybody thinks that this is just like tonight, no. You have to study what human beings are made out of, which is history. Everybody needs a good class in history, especially the young people, as you mentioned, Rod. But this filibuster thing is really enticing me to think differently, because I feel as if the Democrat Party, or the Liberal Party, or the Progressive, I don't know what we call them anymore, the insane group, bring up the Constitution. They're just cheating their way right to hell's angels. They're cheating. How are we ever going to turn this ship around with anything we have the power to do right now, which is to change the filibuster, so that Trump can get this next election straightened out and we stand a chance of not all being killed and Trump being murdered, and he may be murdered anyway. One thing has nothing really to do with the other, but I mean, we are a submitted and taken country if we don't shift something, because they're cheating us alive. Proposition 50. What? Okay, people are saying this is a scam. This is Newsom just, taking it again. How are we going to stop this? We're on the cyclone at Coney Island. I'm upset right now. I'm upset tonight. So, I just lost my state of New York. My daughter lives there. My grandchildren live there. This is not a happy situation. we've watched our country fall apart in so many ways in the past couple of years, past 7, 8 years. We've really watched this country get taken by COVID, taken by evil politicians. It's gonna get worse if we don't do something. If it's just the fucking filibuster, fuck it all. Okay, tell me what you think.
I understand the frustration around the whole filibuster thing, but I look to the future and the Democrats getting control and banning all firearms out of existence completely. Then how do we fight a tyrannical government? Because that's
in
the
Proposition 50. They're going to do it.
well, no, Proposition 50 just moves the boundaries. That's all that's doing. But even right, but outside of that, that's a state level thing, right? But we're talking about the national body of politic, right? If we make everything simple majority, literally First Amendment, it's screwed. Second Amendment, they're really snatching it, right? Fourth Amendment, what privacy, right? That is what scares me out of all that, because we know, and look, both sides will use that as a weapon against American citizens. And I just, like I said, I understand. What's that?
They're using every other weapon against us. How do we take any kind of control in this moment?
See, I know and the biggest part of it, it lays at our feet in particular as the citizenry, right? Right, because we, our grandparents or great grandparents, depending on how old you are, allowed the state governments to give away their sovereignty. Right, the states are supposed to be our shields, right? Because the federal government is not supposed to deal with people. They're supposed to deal with states, but now the federal government deals with people. Now we're in this predicament. So now they can hinge the people on their vote, right? And to affect the American people with again, simple majority, right? This is that moment where the rubber meets the road, right? When it comes to the 17th Amendment. If the 17th Amendment wasn't in place, I'm okay with simple majority in the Senate. I am perfectly okay with that, because the federal government is only supposed to deal with states, not people, right?
Right.
That filibuster is the only thing we have left to safeguard the citizens from a direct tyrannical government. That is the last safeguard, and that's a flimsy one.
Let's just look at this realistically. We have three years. We have 3 more years, and the midterms are what, a year and a half away, approximately. Actually, a year away. Well, yeah, till they take. We might not 3 years from now be able to have any control over anything. We may be killed, murdered, shot, robbed, blown up by nuclear missiles. And I hate to bring this all up, but it feels like it's becoming more and more out of our control. And how are we ever going to take these evil demons and stop them in their tracks? And I mean stop them. I don't even mean wait for an election. If the midterm election goes sour on us, we are going to lose all the good governors we have now, which is, I don't know, maybe a third of the states. I don't know how many, but we're being overrun by Sharia and Islam very badly. I mean, this is not a joke anymore. They are, with intent, taking over faster than any Republican can pull up his pants. These rhinos in our government have betrayed us. And even now, when we have so-called the Senate and the Congress, whatever, and the presidency, nobody can move in time. We're behind the 8 ball in every damn election. We can never get ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry, I am on Trump's side on this. I can't think outside of where we are now, and we will never be able to recoup this country if we don't do it now. And we should have our teeth, our vampire teeth coming out with viciousness against these people, because they are vicious at us. And I'm talking jihad, I'm talking the communists. We're being infiltrated, controlled. Now we're being controlled. We just lost a huge amount of control today, in one day. It's huge. We're getting eaten up alive. They've taken over Michigan. They've taken over Minnesota. They're moving quick through Texas. That's going to be a harder fight, but they're there, and they're taking it on.
Right.
Now they just got, whoa, what did they get today? God damn it. They got the global financial capital of the world. God damn it. People, let Trump do this filibuster. What the hell are we going to sit here for the next 2-3 years and let these sick demons take us over and kill us and destroy this country? They're going to move so fast we won't even see what's coming at us. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to calm down, but I'm all over the place. Okay, let's just look at this Mamdani thing. Let's just take what just happened in New York. Let's narrow it down. Okay, so we're about to witness, first of all, we should all buy stock in the moving van companies, because it's going to be bigger than anything we've ever seen. If we think people have been flooding Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, wherever they've been going, this is going to be huge, and it's going to be necessary for survival. And historically, people pick up and leave and get out if they're smart. Every Republican with money is about to leave New York. That's number one. Every white person with money is about to leave New York. He warned he's going after white people with money. He said it. You got about 6 weeks to move. Every Jew is going to leave. And I just want to say, I read something, it was on Facebook last night. A Jewish man wrote in and he said that he owned a company. I don't remember what kind of company it was, but that he's got this mezuzah over the door of his company, which is like a little, I've seen so many of them, like a little, I don't know what to call it in terms of its size, but it's like a thing you put over your door to acknowledge that you study the Torah, you believe in the Torah, and that you are a Jew. And he said, I don't mind fighting for my home and my city. He said, but honestly, if I can't walk into a restaurant and say what my last name is, because I will be identified as a Jew. Now, I know this is very aligned with also being black, and you can't change that, but if your name is a Jewish name, you really can't change that either. If you have a mezuzah over your door, you are going to be attacked by the forces that be. And then comes, you won't be able to do business with anyone. Sounds like Germany? Oh yeah, World War II, certainly does. People are freaked out, and rightfully so. And it's such a deep, intense feeling that I was in tears reading this last night. And he said, I have to go. I can't live like this. It's not that I'm afraid, but I can't survive like this. And the Jewish people that got out of Germany in World War II were the only ones that survived. So it's very similar.
So I want to.
Catholic. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to bring up something, right? Because NBC just did an exit poll a couple of minutes ago, right? And this I find it rather fascinating, right? Because the discussions about religion, okay, was important to a lot of voters, especially because of the debates surrounding the Israel-Gaza conflict, right? Which has nothing to do with New York City, but again, this goes back to what I'm talking about, an educated electorate, right? That the geopolitical body literally sways who you vote for locally. Like it's stupid work to me, right? But listen at this though. New York City voters, right, according to this poll, were divided over whether the candidates' positions on Israel were an important factor in their vote. But overall, it looks like 4 out of 10 said it was a major factor, and 3 out of 10 said it was a minor factor. Okay, now watch this. Out of the Cuomo voters, right, on this poll, right, they said that his position on Israel was a major factor in their vote, 42% of the vote, right? Smaller shares of the vote goes to Sliwa and Mamdani when it comes to the Israel being a major factor, right? But then watch this. This is how crazy. And again, sometimes some people just need to just keep their mouth closed for a minute on certain things, but people are saying what Trump said today, that any Jewish person who votes for Mamdani is stupid, right? So according to the exit pollers, listen to this, 6 out of 10, right, casted their ballot for Cuomo, but roughly a third of the total Jewish electorate voted for Mamdani.
I know. Under 35, the younger ones. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because they have no money and they want free food and they want free rent and they want free.
Right. Even some of those people citing that the criticisms lobbed at Mamdani is Islamophobic, which again, for me, that's another brainwash move, because you can't be Islamophobic. Never mind. I'm not getting into that conversation. We've had that conversation a million times on here across multiple shows, so people know my position on that. But I find that to be quite interesting. Let's see. Yeah, Abigail Spanberger apparently has defeated Winsome Sears to become the first governor, and then Mickey Sherrill beat Citarelli in New Jersey for governor. Yeah. And then let's see. No, there's nothing on Prop 50 yet.
It'll come.
Yeah, but this goes back to an educated electorate, right? And I think personally, right, for me, I need to fight harder. I mean, not saying I don't fight hard now. Like I cuss people out over this shit because liberty is serious. This is a serious issue. And when you have candidates being elected that are anti-liberty, anti-freedom, it's no longer anti-American anymore. We're past the anti-American sentiment at this point. This is about the preservation of liberty and freedom, period. Right? And I look, that if you want to trigger me, that start talking about the state needs to do this or the state needs to do that, and I will crack a whip like an old slave master on you with my mouth, dead serious, because it is that serious, right? Because of this sentiment that has crept in. I don't care what religion you are and where you come from, but when you come to this land, the land of milk and honey, right? Because you escape from somewhere else to get away from the oppression, you respect the people that are here. You respect them, Because if you come into my house and you so-called act a fool, there's there's a thing called an exit ticket, and you can take it either which way you get.
Rod, they're coming here to conquer us for Allah. This is not about that they're running away for any reason. We are being conquered. This is an insanity ideology that has every intent of taking over and killing all of us and owning this country. This is not that they're coming here because they're being persecuted.
But you know what? And I'm going to say this, and the people of New York that are listening, y'all don't take this the wrong way. I'm just gonna explain it the only way I know how to explain it, because I only spit fire for liberty and freedom. This guy got elected. So what? New York City, you can handcuff this motherfucker. You can handcuff, not actually handcuff, put him in jail, but you can handcuff his authority. Mm-hmm. Right? You can handcuff his authority as the people. Anything he wants to do to move on to raise your taxes, whatever, shut that shit down. Handcuff his ass. If you get tired of his bullshit, New York City has a recall ordinance that you can recall the son of a bitch. So the fight's not over, but y'all gonna need to stand up now. If you're really about this life, y'all need to stand up.
They tried to recall Newsom. How'd that go?
Right. But New York City's a little different, though. That's a little different. California, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Right? But the people still have the power to make sure this guy is handcuffed. As soon as they close their eyes, it's going to become Minneapolis. It's going to become, Grand Prairie, Minnesota, where the biggest Somali thing is. And it'll become a Dearborn, Michigan if you close your eyes on it.
They're going to close their eyes on it. I'm telling you right now. I was just there. Mm-hmm. I've had too many conversations with people. Their eyes are closed. They think they're being compassionate, and they love the young blood of Zoran, and they think that this is just going to work itself out. They have no concept. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
You're much better at the legal stuff than I am. I've just been along for the ride. Like many of us have. We're learning. Okay, so Trump has made statements about if Mondami does X, Y, and Z, I'm going to limit the funds that go to him. Maybe, maybe not. So where does Pam Bondi come into a process of denaturalizing someone like Ilmar or Mondami, these people who have lied on their immigration documents? Mm-hmm. They are self-proclaimed communists at the least, hell-bent on Sharia law. They should be arrested because they broke our federal laws. How do we do this? Is it in Pam Bondi's lap? Like, how do we take this on? And is this actually a legal place to go?
It is legal to denaturalize, right? Mm-hmm. But they would have to bring a case criminally, because at this point it's too late to do it civilly, right? So you would have to do it through criminal means,
right?
Because of fraud, right? But the burden of proof, and this is when it comes to immigration and denaturalization, it's one of the highest burdens of proof in the land. Right, yeah. That's why it's very hard to even strip a natural born citizen, you know what I'm saying, of their citizenship, because the burden of proof has to be that high, right? For that, right? That's why treason, you can't get above treason. But that's a whole nother story when it comes to that. But it's a high burden of proof, right? Because it has to be, and I think if I remember the one case, it's the clear, convincing, and unequivocal standard is what they use to denaturalize someone. Now I might be wrong. Y'all can look it up, right?
Well, Mondami has a citizenship in Uganda and here.
Right.
How is it that he could be elected to an office and Ilmar is in Congress and all these people, she married her brother and God knows what, these people have broken our laws and I don't know what the process is, but all I do know is I want them out. I'm a citizen of this country. I want them out. And I think everybody feels the same way. The people, they're marked.
So the Mamdani situation, right? I mean, it depends on what New York City and what the Florida Municipal Code is concerned on the qualifications to run for office and the state law, right? That's strictly that's within state law. So if these things if people want to quote unquote ban, which you can't do it because it'd be a violation of civil rights. But if you wanted to pass something to ban, Muslims from, participating in an election or being elected officials, right? You have to fight a civil rights suit, and you're not going to win that. You're just not going to win that, right?
I think we should just go after certain people to set an example where there is proof. There is a burden of proof. I mean, let's look at Ilhan Omar a second, right? I mean, if you really if we just take that snapshot a second, right, and we look at her father, right? Her father participated in a genocide as a uniformed military officer in Somalia, right? So the fact, quote unquote, without looking at his record, if he lied about his involvement in that, it says he could be denaturalized just off GP, right? And with that, Ilhan Omar would be denaturalized by default, right? Because it'd be fruit from a poisonous tree. So they would have to denaturalize her by default if her father came here on false pretenses. Right? And Mondami's mother stood up and said, "My son is not American. He's not an American." I mean, they're announcing their illegal foundation.
Well,
they're announcing that they want to get rid of this country.
Well, he would have to be American. Well, let me look at New York State. What is New York State Assembly? I'm gonna look at it here real quick. So I gotta pull up on my tablet. So I can't use the computers. It's on a different thing. Let's see. New York State Assemblyman. Requirements. Let's see what the New York Constitution says about that.
I don't think too much, but
he's definitely an American because he has to be an American because to be a part of the New York State Assembly, you have to be a citizen of the United States, be at least 18 years old, and be a resident of New York State for 5 years, immediately preceding the previous election.
And you can have dual citizenship.
Yeah.
And you can threaten.
Well, you can't threaten people.
You'll kill Netanyahu if he comes to New York.
Yeah, you can't do stuff like that.
But he's doing that.
I know, but he right. And here's the thing, though, right? He's doing it in his private capacity. Right now, if he did it as an elected official, right, sworn in, whole 9 yards, he's cooked. But he used his private speech, and there is no laws in the United States that can stop him from saying that or saying anything about different heads of state. Because, again, right, if that's the case, there'd be millions of Americans arrested for saying they want to cut Putin's head off, right? So there's no federal law saying you can't talk bad about a head of state because that would be the federal government, right, passing a law to infringe on the First Amendment, right? I know.
I guess they know the law better than we do.
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess yes and no. It's just some people stay in these rabbit holes And they say, "Oh, what loophole can I find in this rabbit hole?" And then they bring up this whole big thing. It's like, really, that doesn't really work. But if they take it to the right judge, you know what I mean? That's it, right? And that's what sucks about it.
Yeah. I think people are going to really lose interest in voting, period. Because
Oh, I
this is the
agree.
kind of thing. It's disheartening, you know? This is the kind of thing that people are going to say, what's the difference anymore?
Right.
You know, I was listening to Brandon Strock. He's at the American Warehouse on Long Island. And he said, look, I did everything I could possibly do. He was kind of like the Charlie Kirk out there trying to talk to the young people in New York. He was trying so hard to talk sense. It's been months that he's been out on the streets. And he couldn't do it. The indoctrination is so heavy and it's so baked in to the brains of these younger people that, and we've talked about this, how do you change what they've learned for the past, 20 years?
Right.
They have like a Terminator instinct. They also hate the United States of America now. The younger generation has been taught to hate this country.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go with that? How do you retrain that? I mean, maybe they should all be taken for a 1-month free trip to Cuba and come back and tell us how you liked it. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How do you shift that gear? I mean, it's almost like looking at people who had been through either being in the armed forces in World War II, who were just totally traumatized in every way,
Right.
or the people that got out of the concentration camps who were never the same. They were just destroyed psychologically. Although I have to say, I met more survivors from the concentration camps who were so happy to be alive. They were some of the happiest people I had ever known. Even though they lost their families, their whole families, brothers, sisters, children, wives, husbands. They remarried, they started over again. I mean, I used to just like listen to the stories and be, wow. Like, Viktor Frankl. I don't know if anybody ever read any of his books. He was a concentration camp survivor, and he was actually teaching us how to be happy and how to see the beauty in life. I can't remember the name of his book. I read it such a long time ago. But I guess there are ways of torturing people so that they end up being happy when they're not tortured.
Right. So I want to say this, right? And I just quasi stumbled across something while I was reading on my tablet here, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they amended the city's charter in 1990, they limited the executive power of the borough presidents. Okay. Now, what that power is, I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing and talk about it on air. But if they limited the borough, again, this is that consolidation of power, right? It's the same thing we talk about, down here with the people, same way. They usurped the power of the 5 borough presidents, right, and limited their authority to basically advocacy. It looks like advisory and land use review. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the point of being a borough president or a borough mayor, right, if the mayor can just step on you at any given time?
Well, there's 5 boroughs in New York.
Right. That's what I'm saying, right? You have 5 borough presidents, right? So the borough presidents may need to get their power back to challenge the executive.
Unless they're all communists already.
I mean, no, it's already all communist. Yeah, you're right. But that, again, my New Yorkers, that's an option. That's an option. Amend the city charter. I mean, obviously, you would have to go. You would have to, because you're not going to be able to do it to the city council, even though they could appoint the commission, right? But you would probably have to go. The 5 borough presidents would have to go to the state and say, we need to have a commission to amend the city's charter, and you don't have to get city council involved.
Well, see, this is
Right.
why, Rod, I've been saying these governors are more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems to me, especially through COVID, let's just look at that. The governors were the ones who said, you know, you have to get the shot, you don't have to get the shot. You're locked down, you're not locked down. Everyone had to abide by what the governor said. If we don't get through this next election cycle and get the right people in and the right governors in, especially New York, Elise Stefanik, she's just terrific. She's smart. She's a Jewish woman. Imagine her neutralizing Mondami.
She could,
I'm
as
just
governor, she
saying.
could do it single-handedly.
Exactly my point. How do we get to these midterms? How do we survive this onslaught of jihad and communism literally taking over our states? We're looking at it. They're already in Congress. They're already mayors. Look at England. Come on, England. It's a Muslim country. There's no more England. It's gone. They're totally ruled. Their freedom of speech is gone. They have no rights. How long do you think it would take for this to happen here at this point? 1 year at the most?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, something has to shift a gear big time in the now moment. Right now.
So what really needs to shift, right? And I'm calling out my younger Gen Xers, people my age, a little bit younger or close to my age, within 5 years. I'm calling all you out. We have a country to save.
Mm-hmm.
We have a country to save. I don't too much look to the people over 60, 65 to be in this fight. This is our fight. This is our fight. If you know what I mean, 45, the mid 50s. Like, this is our fight. We are the soul of this country, right? And to allow.
We're all the soul of this country.
Right.
No ageism here. We're all the soul of this country.
I'm saying that in the context of we are the ones that have to be mobile. We the ones have to make the moves.
Yes.
Right? Because before we blink our eye, we're going to have these young kids call themselves trying to run a country that is more complex than their video games. And this is real life. Right? Yeah. You got people coming out of their basements talking about they're running for office and don't know the difference between a general fund and discretionary funds, right? Like, we have to save this country one county at a time, not one state at a time, one county at a time. Because once we solidify counties, the state is secure. No matter what you do, the state is secure. No matter how, whichever way it goes, your counties are the most important places. And we have to get every single county on board. No matter which way we have to do it.
Well, look at the pattern of how the jihad has slipped in and put themselves into government. Mm-hmm. In every country that they look at Africa right now. I mean, look what they've done. I mean, this is an insidious angry mob. That's what it is. It's an angry mob who really thinks they're doing something for whatever their God is. Their God is insanity. Their God is Satan. And I'm just going to say it because this is not loving. This is not humane. They're killers. And, you know, they're accomplishing the task in Germany. They're raping women like crazy everywhere they are. This is not a fallacy. This is not, you know, something we're seeing on TV. This is reality. This is what's happening. What are we going to do? Sit here and say, oh, I'm going to give out the Constitution to every person in Congress who's been legally elected because they haven't read it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to write a letter to my representative, and I'm going to say, I'm pissed off that such and such is not happening. Meanwhile, back at the farm, we've got Islam terrorist maniacs just sneaking out in the woods. They're sneaking out around everybody's houses. I'm sorry, I'm listening to military people lately saying, people in this country have no idea what's about to happen. What does that mean?
I mean, more No Kings protest? Oh, no.
Yeah, no, we don't even need those. We don't need those anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need a note. We don't need from the river to the sea. We don't need no kings. We don't need the whole black and white war anymore. We've gone through all of that and successfully divided every single group. Now that we're divided, they can just pop in and take over.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
what they do.
Right, and because again, right, people are still ignorant. You know, that's why I said what I said before, right? About the fight we have to save this country. It starts at the county level, 100%. It starts at the county level, right? And I want to put this number into context, right? And this is a question for everybody. I'm going to ask a series of questions, right? How many counties are there in the United States, including her territories? How many counties do y'all think there are?
Oh my gosh, I would never even know that. I guess you know it.
Oh yeah, I know all these numbers by heart.
Tell us. I don't know that anybody would actually know that answer.
So there's 3,244 total counties in the United States, including her territories, right? What state do you think has the most counties? It's kind of obvious if you really think about it. What state?
California?
No.
Texas? No?
Not California, no.
No. See, I'm thinking size.
Mm-hmm.
But that might be, yeah.
You know the state. I mean, it is the second largest state land-wise in the union.
I don't think it's Florida. No.
No,
Texas,
it's Texas.
No.
It's Texas.
It is Texas. Okay.
Texas has 254 counties.
Okay.
Right. Georgia has 159 counties. Think about how small Georgia is compared to Texas, and they have 159 counties. But I mention all of that, right? Because this is where the fight's going to be. This is where the fight needs to be. Yeah. Right? Right? Like I mean, like in New York, you don't have a sheriff in each county in New York, do you? Wait. No, they don't have sheriffs. No.
Some of them do.
I'm trying to think.
We had an Ulster County sheriff.
Right.
When we lived in upstate New York.
Right. I think in the city though, because each borough is its own county. Kings County. What's Kings County? What's the other county? Each borough is a county. Yeah, Queens County.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about that.
I'm
don't
gonna look real quick.
There are sheriffs there. If there are, they're probably all submitted and paid off and part of the, making money and agreements on the side. I'm just, because I know New York. It's always been that way. It's always been mafia.
Look.
Yeah.
So New York City, there's a New York City Sheriff's Office. I didn't know this.
Okay.
This is good to know.
Okay.
Right? But they operate differently than any other sheriff's office, right? Because the New York Sheriff's Office works through the New York City Department of Finance. And their primary role is civil law enforcement.
Okay.
And they serve as the enforcement arm of the Department of Finance, which theoretically it makes sense because they're the constitutional officers, so they're the only ones that can deal with people on a civil level when it comes to civil law enforcement and enforcing mandates and things of that nature from the courts. So yeah, that makes sense. But it's just weird to see that in that context that the sheriff's office is not over. You know what I'm saying? Complete, total, all law enforcement, right? Like that's just odd to me.
So it's different. It's different in every state.
And guess what? And guess
every
what?
county.
Yeah, guess what? The sheriff of New York, is appointed by the mayor.
Uh-oh. You see?
Yeah,
Do you
he's appointed
see
by the
what's
mayor.
going on here?
He's appointed by the mayor.
We're in trouble. New York is in, bigger trouble, faster, quicker. But look how the Sharia is building their own city in Texas. Did you just say they had more counties in Texas?
Yeah, the 254. They have the most counties. Yep.
They know where to go. They know how to weasel themselves in. And I would say patience, we have elections every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
They can wait. I mean, they start off, but this is why, I hear you talking about local government and I don't disagree. I think it goes along with these governors mean everything to me. And having a president, I look at the higher up as having the ultimate authority. And I'm also, one of the other things I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure everyone would be interested in this. How could Donald Trump create a national state of emergency?
He can't.
And shut this whole thing down.
He can't. Constitution won't let him. Constitution will
Why
not
not?
let. He is bound by Article 2.
And what does that mean?
So the only way he could do a national emergency is if he got grant from Congress, because that's a congressional authority. That's a legislative authority.
Okay.
Right. So they would literally have to pass an act as like they would have to pass an act of war. Right. It falls in that same context for him to sign it. The president unilaterally cannot do that.
So what would happen if we actually had a war that was possibly of a different definition than we've ever used before?
Well, it would depend on that definition. Like what are we talking?
Well, we're talking about national chaos that becomes uncontrollable, possibly with foreign forces in our own country.
Okay, so that's why federalizing the National Guard is important. The ability that give the president the flexibility to federalize the National Guard outside of the governors is important, right? So that's where that comes into play, because again, right, unless it is a combatant from another nation, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say it's a bunch of Chinese soldiers, then he could deploy the U.S. military on U.S. soil. But if it's just a bunch of people that are, let's say they're Somali, right? They don't have any allegiance to their army. You can't send you can't send the U.S. military. You have to send the National Guard.
If we have all of these illegal immigrants in our country and they become absolute warriors attacking government buildings, attacking people, riots in the street, which we're already seeing. We can't somehow, other than the National Guard, take a hold of this.
Nope. Posse Comitatus shuts that off too.
You see, I'm really feeling right now in this moment that our Constitution possibly has no ability to protect us from what is happening.
Oh, it does 100%. The utilization of the National Guard. The problem is that we have governors that don't want to get along and solve the problem. They want to use the National Guard as political cannon fodder, right?
Here we have the governors again.
Right.
See?
So
Okay.
so he has to federalize them, right, and then put them in in X places if these riots and things are quote unquote going on, right? And then even then there's still limitations because even if there are riots in the streets, it's still technically municipal jurisdiction. Right, so the police and the sheriff would have to take care of the initial riot. But if it comes to a point where it's overwhelming, like they're acting as a military force, that's when the National Guard would step in. But at no period in time would the U.S. military should ever be deployed on U.S. soil unless there is an invasion force from a known nation.
How would we identify an invasion force? What would we look?
I mean, the identifying factors would be the uniforms. That'd be first things first.
Anyone can put on a uniform.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So you would have to identify that correctly because remember, we still have Geneva Conventions to abide by too, right? And all of this without getting, whatever, right? But Geneva is a whole nother ball of wax. But it has to be from a known nation with the intent to invade. Right? If they're already here on this soil, it becomes a National Guard. This is why, right? This is why Donald Trump has not deployed the military, right? I mean, he brought the 2.7 out of 29 Palms, right? But again, they were only there to support ICE at a federal facility. That's it. It's the only reason he could deploy them. Right, but he can't send them into these riots and try to stop these riots because now we're talking law enforcement. Because remember, these riots, they're not warring against, quote unquote, the government or any type of forces like a National Guard. You're not fighting them. You see what I'm saying? So this is where the lines are right now. If a riot group and the National Guard were just standing there and they were to attack the National Guard with arms, you damn right, they're going to get fucked up. At that point in time.
They're attacking ICE agents.
Right, they're attacking ICE agents. That's a different story, right? Because remember, we get militarization and civil law enforcement. These are two different things, right? Because remember, ICE is civil law enforcement, right? Because they're only dealing with, deportation of persons, blah 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 blah. We know that whole spiel. We've heard it forever, right? So I don't have to definitely go through that, right? So that's the line. Now, if they were to attack military, National Guard while they're on duty, yeah, you might get some clapback from the National Guard, and you might not like the end result of your buddies that are laying on the ground if you do that. This is why they don't attack the National Guard directly. They say they're trying to go after ICE, right? And the National Guard is blocking them. And you notice they just stop. When the National Guard's standing there, they just stop what they're doing because they know if they attack that soldier, they are fucked. And every last protest in this nation, you're right, the protest would be finished.
Yeah.
Right, or to peaceably assemble, it would be finished because those National Guard members would arrest you, if not shoot at you first. Hopefully, you're not dead. They pick your ass up, they handcuff you, and you throw you in the federal fucking slammer until they're ready to send you to trial. Right.
If that were to happen, that would be fine.
I know.
It seems like they're getting away with it way too much. We don't even have the ability.
I was telling a guy the other day on a TikTok live. I was like, Donald Trump, you saying he's a dictator? He's being very fucking nice right now. I say, because please do. I told him, I said, please do understand. Them laying hands even on the federal officers could invoke the Insurrection Act, and you're all fucked.
Okay,
you are
so
all
let's talk
fucked.
about that. What's the difference, the Insurrection Act versus a national emergency?
Okay, so the Insurrection Act, so insurrection is something that's already in motion, right?
Okay.
Right? An emergency is something declared because of circumstances, right? So that's where we have to kind of split that, right? Because the insurrection is taking place, like AKA example, January 6th, even though we know
Yeah, they accused
not a
him of that already. Yeah.
right, right. So when we look at the insurrection, right, quote unquote, the left likes to say, or the anti-Trump people or anti-MAGA people say, January 6th was an insurrection, right? That's the force. That's it. That's in action. That's what's happening, right? So, yeah, quote unquote, you could have called the Insurrection Act, right? Because this is domestic violence,
Yes.
right? That call could have been made. And I'm sure if there'd been a Democratic president, it would have been called what it was. We know that. We know this, right? Now, with that being said, right? When we talk about declaring a national emergency,
Yeah.
declaring a national emergency over the people is not going to fly.
Okay.
It's not going to fly because, again, right, the president's limited authority is literally just over the states in at some length, right? He can declare, like, for example, we're under an economic emergency under the IEEPA, right? So he can do the tariffs. He can move the tariffs up and down because he's dealing with states, not people, and he can expand that national emergency. Just like when Biden had a national emergency for the COVID, right? It didn't deal with people, it dealt with states, right? It dealt with states. And that's only how far they could go. And then the states did their thing, quote unquote, and signed their own executive orders in the mirror of Biden's executive order to declare a state of emergency over their state, right? So that's where the authority.
He had a real easy time doing that, huh?
Yeah, real
Apparently.
easy.
Comparatively. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, him not calling, yeah, he can't call just a national emergency on the people. He can't just randomly do that, right? Unless, again, something's happening like an insurrection, right? But even then, that's not even an emergency. It's already in motion. So he has to do something to quell the domestic violence. He doesn't need congressional approval to do that.
Okay, that's I think what I was referring to, and I called it the wrong thing. But I guess everybody's confused over this. It's just these are the questions we all have right now, and we're looking at how do we get safe, number one, especially women. I mean, I think almost all the women that I talk to, unless they're from New York and they think life is just fine, and California, they think life is just la-di-da, nothing's happening, they don't see it. So they don't see it till it hits them.
Right.
It's like, oh, everything is fine, yeah, and if something is not fine tomorrow, then it's not fine. I mean, it's just...
Right.
Yeah, I think we all have these concerns and questions about how does our president, our governors, our military forces, ICE versus National Guard, we're all looking at this right now and saying, okay, how do we make sense out of all of this and feel protected? So
here's the part that all of this has exposed, right? And it's kind of a lot of the stuff I've been y'all been listening to me for years. So it's kind of a lot of stuff I brought up in piecemeal in conversations or in shows, right? But this is where the rubber of everything I've said for the past 6 years hits the road, right? Mm-hmm. You see how convoluted, right? Your law, just say your law enforcement authority is. You see how convoluted that is? Like, you don't know who's got what authority to do what, how, what, and when, right? Mm-hmm. And as these things come up, right, I like to call them anti-Trumpers, call them statists, whatever you want to call them today, right? They use that confusion to cause mayhem. Because under normal circumstances, like, let's take, for example, the uprisings during the Vietnam War. There was no question whatsoever. You was going to jail. If you touch any of those National Guard members, you were going to jail. There was no doubt about it.
Right.
Now it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't wear a mask. And no. Shut up. Just shut up. They have a job to do because the Constitution gives them they're part of the enumerated powers in the Constitution. They have a job that is set in the document that runs this country. Move out the way or find your ass in jail. That's it.
That's it.
Right. And that's how it should be. Right. So, again, at the end, right, outside of Trump's authority, right, and let's get rid of Trump's authority, right? Let's get even rid of the legislative authority, right, to declare war or declare, whatever national emergency, right? Your sheriff has all the power he or she needs to declare an emergency in a county if he or she sees fit.
Okay, so there's the answer.
Right? So if you got people acting a damn fool in your county and they're doing all these stupid things, like let's say you have an ICE facility in your county and these people, sheriff can say, hey, I'm going to the mayor or the city council. I'm going to declare a county emergency. We're going to shut all this shit down. Anybody violating, you're going to fucking jail because you're all unfucking-ruly. That's it.
We have really good sheriffs in this county. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can vouch for most of our counties. Most of
Florida.
Yeah. At least on the Gulf Coast for sure. I can vouch for just about almost every sheriff. Like they don't play no games. They're around here on this side of the
state. Martin County is not taking no mess either. I mean, everybody thinks this is an easy place to come to, and they're all getting caught and all getting shut down. So.
Right.
But all right, this is an important discussion in this moment for people to have, because I think a night of seeing these elections leaves us feeling like hopeless or scared or whatever, it is, and to know what forces can come and assist us.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to function no matter what happens. It's important.
Right.
It's important.
It is 100%. I want to thank you for the conversation, Ms. Val, as always. I'll thank everybody for hanging out with us this evening. New York City. Y'all have a big hill to climb with this guy. But I just hope that y'all stick to your guns there in the 5 boroughs and you limit this guy's authority like none other. You shut that shit down. Any misstep should be a recall election. I don't care how many recall elections you got to put up. It should be a recall election every time he twitches. But you know what? This is going to be interesting, Ms. Val. And I forgot to bring this up while we were talking. Mm-hmm. Everything on his list that he said that he could do.
Yeah.
I would love to see him try it. I would love to see him try it, fall flat of his face, and watch all the little 3500ers wind their street. I can't believe it. It's Megan's fault. With their baby bottles in their mouth.
Trump's fault. We know that already.
Right? And it's like, yeah, now this guy's limits on his authority. He made you big promises. So rent controls? How's he going to do that? He's going to literally fire the whole the rent control board? Like, what are we doing here? Right?
And also the reality of people that cannot feed themselves without free food stamps.
Right. That part.
Come on.
Right. Hey, remember, guys, love your neighbors, love yourself, and love your family. Until next time, y'all, peace and love. We'll see you again.